Francis Alan Pitney was an American singer-songwriter, musician, and sound engineer. Pitney charted 16 top 40 hits in the US, 4 in the top 10. In the UK he had 22 top 40 hits, and 11 singles in the top 10. He also wrote the early 1960s hits Rubber Ball recorded by Bobby Vee, He's a Rebel by the Crystals, and Hello Mary Lou by Ricky Nelson. In 2002, he was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Early years: Pitney was born in Hartford, Connecticut, and grew up in Rockville, now part of Vernon, Connecticut. His early influences were Clyde McPhatter, country blues singer Moon Mullican and doo-wop groups like the Crows. He attended Rockville High School, at which he was named the Rockville Rocket, and where he formed his first band, Gene and the Genials. Pitney was an avid doo-wop singer and sang with a group called the Embers. He made records as part of a duo called Jamie and Jane with Guinea Annell, and in 1959 recorded a single as Billy Bryan. Career Rise to Fame signed to songwriter Aaron Schroeder's newly formed Musica label in 1961, Pitney scored his first chart single, which made the top 40, the self-penned, I Wanna Love My Life Away, on which he played several instruments and multi-tracked the vocals. He followed that same year with his first top 20 single, the title song from the film Town Without Pity starring Kirk Douglas. Written by Dmitri Shiomkin and Ned Washington, the song won a Golden Globe Award and was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Song, but lost the award to Moon River. Pitney performed the song at the Oscars ceremony on April 9, 1962. Pitney is also remembered for Burt Bacharach Hal David's song The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, which peaked at number 4 in 1962. Though it shares a title with the 1962 John Ford Western with the same title, The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, starring John Wayne, the song was not used in the film because of a publishing dispute between Famous Music and Paramount Pictures. Meanwhile, Pitney wrote hits for others, including He's a Rebel for the Crystals, Vicky Carr, and Elkie Brooks. Today's Teardrops for Roy Orbison, Rubber Ball for Bobby Vee, and Hello Mary Lou for Ricky Nelson. The Crystals' version of He's a Rebel kept Pitney's own number 2 hit Only Love Can Break a Heart, his highest charting single in the US, from the top spot. His popularity in the UK market was ensured by the breakthrough success of 24 Hours from Tulsa, a Bacharach and David song, which peaked at number 5 in Britain at the start of 1964. It was only Pitney's third single release in the UK to reach the singles chart and the first to break into the top 20 there. It was also a hit in the US, peaking at number 17 on the Hot 100. Involvement with the Rolling Stones Pitney was present with Phil Spector at some of the Rolling Stones' early recording sessions in London, including Little by Little, and other tracks for their debut album. He played piano, though the extent is uncertain. The Jagger Richards song That Girl Belongs to Yesterday was a UK hit for Pitney in 1964. It was the first tune composed by the Rolling Stones to become a top 10 hit in the UK. In the US, the single stalled at number 49, ending a run of 7 top 40 singles for Pitney as a performer. Maintaining popularity after another low-charting single, 1964's Yesterday's Hero, Pitney rebounded with another string of hits in the mid-1960s, including the 1964 singles It Hurts to Be in Love, and I'm Gonna Be Strong, which reached number 7 and number 9, respectively, in the US, and 1966's Nobody Needs Your Love, which peaked at number 2 in the UK, matching the number 2 UK peak of I'm Gonna Be Strong. It Hurts to Be in Love had been planned for and recorded by Neil Sedaka, but RCA refused to release it because Sedaka had recorded the song outside RCA Victor in violation of his contract. The writers, Howard Greenfield and Helen Miller, presented the song to Pitney. Miller replaced Sedaka's voice with Pitney's, though Sedaka's trademark backing harmonies were left intact. In 1965, Pitney recorded 2 successful albums with country singer George Jones. They were voted the most promising country and western duo of the year. Pitney also recorded songs in Italian, Spanish and German, and twice finished second in Italy's annual Sanremo Music Festival, where his strong vibrato reminded older listeners of the Italian tenor Enrico Caruso. He had a regional hit with Nessuno mi fu a squared giudicare. UK, Australian and European stardom. Pitney's career in the US took a downturn after mid-1966, when Backstage ended another run of top 40 hits. He returned one last time to the top 40 with She's a Heartbreaker in mid-1968 and placed several singles in the lower reaches of the Hot 100 after that, but by 1970 he was no longer a hitmaker in the US. Pitney maintained a successful career in Britain and the rest of Europe into the 1970s, appearing regularly on UK charts as late as 1974. In Australia, after a fallow period in the early 1970s, Pitney returned to top 40 in 1974, as both Blue Angel and Trans-Canada Highway were substantial hits. Pitney continued to place records in the Australian charts through 1976, including the hit Down This Road, written and produced by distant relation Edward Pitney. They also collaborated in the production of the hit song Days of Summer. In the early 1970s, Pitney decided to spend only 6 months each year on the road. Later career. Pitney's last hit on the UK charts came in 1989, after an absence of 15 years, when he and soft cell singer Mark Armand recorded a duet version of Something's Gotten Hold of My Heart by British writers Roger Cook and Roger Greenaway. The song had been a UK number 5 for Pitney in 1967. The duet brought him his first UK number 1, in late January 1989. The single remained at the top for 4 weeks, and also went to number 1 elsewhere in Europe. Pitney and Armand appeared on the Terry Wogan television show in Britain. On February 26, 1993, Pitney performed at Carnegie Hall in New York on the day of the first World Trade Center bombing. In 2000, he re-recorded Half Heaven, Half Heartache as a duet with Jane Oliver on her comeback album Love Decides. On March 18, 2002, Pitney was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. This Morning incident, Pitney was involved in a memorable gaffe on ITV's This Morning in 1989, owing to a technical mishap. Giving an ostensibly live performance of his track You're the Reason, Pitney missed his cue and was seen failing dismally to mime along in time to his backing track. He tried not to laugh and continued with the song. The incident has been repeated on television over the years, notably on a 2002 episode of BBC One's series Room 101, where host Paul Merton described it as a very funny moment in which Pitney came in unbearably late. It was re-aired on the 25th anniversary edition of This Morning in 2013, where presenter Holly Willoughby broke out into a cold sweat while reliving the moment. Death. Pitney was touring the UK in the spring of 2006 when his manager found him dead in his hotel room in Cardiff on April 5. An autopsy found the cause of death to be a heart attack and that he had severely occluded coronary arteries. His final show at Cardiff St David's Hall had earned him a standing ovation. He ended with Town Without Pity. He was survived by his wife Lynn and their 3 sons Todd, Chris, and David. He was buried at Summers Center Cemetery in Summers, Connecticut. Posthumous Tributes. Mark Armand recorded Backstage for his 2007 covers album, Stardom Road. On September 20, 2007, a plaque to Pitney was unveiled at the town hall in his hometown of Rockville, Connecticut. Members of the family attended. The event was emceed by nationally known oldies radio DJ and Pitney friend Wild Wayne. The Gene Pitney Commemorative Committee established a music scholarship in Pitney's name. It is awarded annually to Rockville High School. In October 2008, an international fan convention was held in Rockville. Discography. Albums. The Many Sides of Gene Pitney, Only Love Can Break a Heart, Gene Pitney Sings Just For You, Gene Pitney Sings Worldwide Winners, Blue Jean, Gene Pitney Meets the Fair Young Ladies of Falkland, A. Gene Pitney's Big 16, Gene Italiano, It Hurts to Be in Love and 11 More Hit Songs, B. Gene Pitney's Big 16, Volume 2, C. For the First Time. 2 Great Stars, George Jones and Gene Pitney. One Must Be Seeing Things, D. It's Country Time Again. Looking Through the Eyes of Love, E. Espanol, Being Together, Big 16 Volume 3, Backstage, F. Nessuno mi più a squared giudicare, Greatest Hits of All Times, The Countryside of Gene Pitney, Young and Warm and Wonderful, Just One Smile, Golden Greats, The Gene Pitney Story, Espanol, Volume 2, Gene Pitney Sing Burt Bacharach and Others, She's a Heartbreaker, G. The Greatest Hits of Gene Pitney, This is Gene Pitney Singing the Platters Golden Platters, Superstar, H. 10 Years Later, New Sounds of Gene Pitney, The Golden Hits of Gene Pitney, Pitney 75, Backstage, The Greatest Hits and more, You're the Reason, Blue Angel, The Bronze Sessions, Notes, and originally released as Dedicated to My Teen Queens, *H released in the UK as, B. I'm Gonna Be Strong, C. Gene Pitney More Big 16, D. Looking Through the Eyes of Love, E. Sings the Great Songs of Our Time, F. Nobody Needs Your Love, G. Pitney Today, H. 10 Years Later. Singles Note that release dates refer to initial release. Pitney's early singles generally appeared 1 to 4 months later in the UK/Australia. Many of his later releases are UK/NZ only. Sources include Joel Hitchcock's record research material for the US Top 100, Bubbling Under, and US country charts. Tim Rice al., Guinness Book of Hit Singles for the UK. Chum chart for Canada prior to mid-1964, and the Canadian RPM charts thereafter. And the Kent Report for Australia. References. External links, Gene Pitney Bio, a site created to honor Gene in his hometown of Rockville, Connecticut, Wildwane CT. Based nationally known oldies radio DJ and friend of Gene Pitney at the Wayback Machine, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, report of Pitney's death from BBC News, BBC Obituary from The Guardian, fans' final chat with Gene Pitney, interview with Gene Pitney in International Songwriters Association Songwriter magazine, concentrating on his songwriting career.